because we value our neighbors and community,
clean air, farming and livestock,
water access and availability,
because we value country living and natural beauty,
pedestrian and traffic safety,
crime and fire protection,
thriving local economies and small business.
These values are not unique, and they represent a common theme among many communities, large and small. But what is unique is when community leaders and residents come together to ensure that community values and priorities get incorporated into land use decisions. This is the story of two different communities located in the southern part of Shasta County, California. When visitors pass through the unincorporated communities of Happy Valley and Cottonwood, the first thing they'll notice is that they both have their own distinct character. 5 years ago, developers started to see building potential in these communities, and they started to create plans that would threaten that rural character. In Happy Valley, a development was being proposed that would double their population and jeopardize the small town feel of the area. In Cottonwood, a housing development was started and then abandoned because a developer ran out of money. At the same time that these developments were being proposed, members from the Healthy Eating Active Communities Collaborative, also known as HEAC, were approaching the residents to find out how they could help them create healthier eating and active living opportunities. The first thing they decided to do was put on an educational workshop. The main goal of the workshop was to help the community move from this no-growth perspective to seeing why planning for growth was valuable. Other goals included discussing what a healthy community is and looking at ways to preserve the rural lifestyle. The workshop was called How Shall We Grow? And it featured presenters from other towns in California that were having similar issues. Following the presentations, attendees participated in a community image survey designed to help them better understand crucial planning elements. To encourage the residents to attend the workshop, they had published a series of articles on growth and development in the local paper, and community organizers posted flyers and spoke with residents and businesses to ensure that they were reaching a broad population, including Latinos, farmers, and youth. From the very beginning, when HEAC decided to get involved, they knew that whatever they did had to be a transparent and inclusive process. So they made sure to include elected officials, agency members, and other local organizations in workshop planning activities. The How Shall We Grow workshop was such a success that the HEAC Collaborative knew they had to keep this momentum moving forward. They had seen where others, mostly urban communities, had done some long-term visioning projects. So they decided to try it on a small scale for the unincorporated communities of Happy Valley and Cottonwood. They hired a consultant to help facilitate the process, develop the mapping activities, and produce a final report. The first step was for each community to meet and identify their values and priorities around growth. Once these were agreed upon, then they participated in a mapping exercise that helped them to visualize where they wanted growth and what type of growth they wanted over the next 20 to 50 years. Using this information, the consultant was able to create a report and some photo simulations of what their town centers could actually look like. During each step of the process, whenever the consultant would bring back a draft to the collaborative, the residents had the opportunity to review it and give input. Before the vision was finalized, HEAC brought it to the county supervisors to make sure that the document was useful to the county when making future growth decisions. Jesse Izagiri, aspiring TV host and Shasta College student, went on a road trip to talk to some of the community residents who participated in the visioning sessions. Here are some of their clips.
Sandy, can you please describe an activity you've been involved in regarding community growth?
Yes, my husband and I have been involved in the HEAC visioning planning. Just the planning of different parks, pathways, road designs, just a direction for the community to grow in.
And why did you decide to become involved in this activity?
We actually have a heart for the young children out here, and we realize that to nurture the young kids, you need to support the families also. So the families need a safe place to raise their children where they feel important and have a sense of belonging.
And Marge, can you describe an activity that you were involved in, also regarding community growth?
Well, I was in the same one that he was, but we also put paper up on the blackboard and put where we'd have bicycle trails, better safety trails for our children going to and from school, and how we could protect our children more when they're going to school, and safer areas for them to be in.
And what was your reason for being involved in this activity?
It's our community. I think everyone should be involved in what's happening in their community. If you're not, you have no right to complain.
And why did you decide for yourself to be involved in this activity?
So often that when stuff is planned, the community don't get involved in it. They don't have a chance to get involved, and we did in this one, and I thought it was wonderful that all the community members got involved in planning for their community.
And when it comes to land use in the future, what activities would you like to participate in?
I'd like to participate in all of them. I think it's very important that the community get involved in all of the planning, whether it be for just the community or the surrounding areas in the community. The community should be involved in it.
Thank you. Carrie, can you please describe an activity that you've been involved with regarding community growth?
Sure. Out at West Valley High School, there was a mapping session held with community members concerned about utilizing areas near schools to maybe implement walking paths for students to use.
And what made you want to be involved in this activity?
I lived here my whole life. I always lived very close to the schools, but was unable to walk, at least safely in my mom's regard. So I took the bus a lot, but even now we have kids that are real close to campus that could walk here, or a lot of times they have to go to practice, and if mom's not there to take them, they should be able to get there safely.
Wanda, can you please describe an activity that you were recently involved in regarding the community?
Yes, I started with participating in For Boys, taking pictures to my community.
And what made you decide to participate in this activity?
I decided to clean over here because I would like to learn more about my community, and I would like to help my community to do something good for the kids when they grew up.
What kind of activities would you like to participate in the future?
Whatever I can do or whatever I can make, I can learn to help the community.
Thank you.
The benefits that came out of the workshop and the visioning sessions far exceeded anybody's expectations.
As a member of the Cottonwood Community Park and a representative and a partner with HEAC, we saw that one of the major outcomes from this visioning project was the fact that the county was so supportive and receptive to our final document. We saw this when Walgreens came to the county to discuss with them a development in Cottonwood, and they referred the developer to the community of Cottonwood to gather the input and the response. We've also seen over the last 2 years an increase in county officials participating in our town hall meetings, which we hold twice a year.
My perspective as a county supervisor, the visioning process served to bring the community together. A couple years later, we still have the town hall meetings that came out of that project itself, and people continue to grow the community and give input in that way. As a supervisor, I really felt we could have done a better job to involve a more diverse elements of the community, more of the business community, and especially more of the business and property developers as well, and receive their input so we have the best end product.
Okay, some of the outcomes that came from the visioning project is that Latinos in Action formed from the Latino community and felt very empowered because they had services of translation and interpreting in their language. They learned or increased their leadership skills and started facilitating meetings to other residents in their community. Then soon after became members of the Cottonwood Community Park Board.
Biggest outcome for me that came out doing this visioning work in Happy Valley was really the change in the residents' attitudes toward growth. When we first started working on this project, most of the residents' attitude toward growth was no growth. They didn't want to see anything coming into our community. And after getting a lot of education through us and some engagement and a lot of planning work on what we wanted our community to look like, they realized that some growth really is good. And they realized that we can still have our rural community that we live in, but at the same time, it can be walkable and it can be safe for our kids. And you can ride your bikes and have bike lanes and all these things that the community really wanted to have, and you can have those through really good planning and still have growth at the same time. We also realized that we can work with our planning departments and we can work with elected officials and we can work with developers, which is something that we were never used to doing. And you can ask to have things happen that you're looking for in your community, and you can ensure that things like parks and walking trails and community gathering places, that those are all included as part of the growth plan for your community. And another one of the really exciting things that we've started to do that's made a huge difference in our community is just this open communication with each other so that we all know how we feel about the changes that we want to see happen and the growth that we want to see happen in Happy Valley. And we're communicating that with our elected officials. We're meeting with our supervisor on a regular basis and the planning department to really discuss and share our ideas openly with our electeds.
Well, based on the work that our organizers have done in the community in the past, they found that they were able to build trust with both residents and decision makers. And because we were able to come to consensus, we were able to reflect the unique values and priorities of each community that we worked in. Because the document reflected those values and priorities, it was embraced by residents, and decision makers will be able to use this document in the future as a reference point for future development that reflects the values and priorities of the communities.
HEAC also helped to engage the community on a number of planning activities that took place in the city of Anderson. For more information on any of these efforts or to become involved, contact Christine Haggard with Shasta County Public Health at 225-3763 or Barbara Jackson with Anderson Partnership for Healthy Children at 378-6060.